unmuted.
Well, hello everybody. It is 7:30. Let's get ready for Bible study. Hope you guys can hear me well. I think we worked out all of our kinks this week, so you guys should be able to hear us real good on the website. Invite others to tune in on our website at www.equationchurch.com. If you guys are tuned in, or you can have them call in on our teleconference call as well. Let's pray and get started. Well, Jesus, we love you so very much and appreciate this opportunity to be able to give your word to your people. And I just ask you, oh God, that you be glorified, magnified, and God, that the information that I give today, God, will be something that will transform their life. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, again, man, thank y'all for tuning in every single week. You guys are faithful. In tuning in weekly to the call. It's incredible to see the amount of people that have been tuning in via teleconference call and also via our website. Thank you so much for your faithfulness and your commitment to be able to learn about leadership and to be able to learn what God is looking for in this generation. I truly believe this, that God is trying to raise up a generation of believers that can change the world. You must believe it, you must embrace it, and when you embrace it and you believe it, nothing can stop you. I don't care what obstacle comes against you, whatever you face, nothing can stop you from being what it is God has called you to be. So I've been given tons of information. This past Sunday, I kind of took it a little chill. I just sat on the stage and gave a little bit of information. I allowed the people at Equation Church to ask questions as well. So I didn't really present a lot of new information this past Sunday. So today I'll give some new information. We'll talk through it and possibly leave it open for some questions at the end as well. Again, like I said, I'll say every single week these three statements. Make sure you write these down. Make sure you have a pen and paper or type on your laptop or whatever you got. You must believe that you are born with the capacity to influence other people and the world. If you're going to embrace the leadership spirit, you must believe that you were born with the capacity to influence other people and the world. You have to believe that. If you don't believe that at its core, then you won't embrace the spirit of leadership that God has called for you to have. Number two, you must believe that you possess the potential and the ability to influence the world with your gifts. Again, you must believe that you possess the potential and the ability to influence the world with your gifts. You must believe that you possess the potential. The first one, you had to believe you had the capacity. Then you must understand that you have the potential. And then you must understand you have the ability to influence the world with your gifts. Then you also must believe that you were created by God and born in this generation, because whatever you have in you, whatever gift, talent, ability, leadership ability that you have in you, this generation needs. You must believe that you are significant to the world. The world has told us that we're insignificant. Our families sometimes tell us that we're insignificant. Can any good thing come out of Nazareth? I am here to tell you absolutely yes. I don't care what your circumstance looks like. I don't care what your life has been like, what you've grown up in, what has been a part of your life, what struggles you've always had, what thorn in the side you've always had. The reason why you're here is because there is something significant in you that God wants to deliver to the world. You cannot die until you deliver that gift, that significant thing that God has put in you to the world. So you must understand that. Sunday, I kind of read through Philippians and I was telling them to have this attitude, the same mind that Christ had, that he humbled himself. He endured the cross, despising the shame, because he believed in what it is God has called him to do. He embraced the capacity that God put in him that he can influence the world. And then, not only after that, he understood that he had the potential and the ability to influence the world with his gifts. And then he believed that in that time he was born and they needed, we still need what it was he has put in the earth. So you are significant to the world. Don't let anything tell you that you're not. God has put you here. And if you're not dead, you are not done. So get up and do what it is God has called you to do. If you're taking notes, make sure you tweet me. Tweet me at Antoine Jackson on Twitter, on Facebook. If we're cool, tag me in your statements or your tweets or whatever you learn, tag me in it, Instagram or whatever. Share. Let other people know this is good information. I was telling my church, I said, I don't know too many leaders that spend their time empowering others. Leadership today has been about what can I get people to do for me, not what can I do for people. Leadership has taken on this idea today where we don't serve anymore. Leadership has taken on this idea now where we're looking to be served. Everybody wants to be grand. Everybody needs armor bearers, and everybody needs, a parking attendant and a car attendant and a water attendant and a microphone attendant. Everybody needs all of these different things to look well of men. But once you really embrace the spirit of leadership, you understand that leadership is about service. That leadership is about how can I help people become what it is God has called them to be. Leadership is the ability to lay down your life for your friend. Leadership is the ability to be able to help others be able to step on your back and step on your shoulders to become what it is God has called them to be. It takes a certain level of security to be able to be a great leader. Insecure people will never be great leaders because insecure people think that everybody is out for their spot or their position, and they'll never lay down their life enough to be able to help somebody else be what it is God has called them to be. But you can really tell when you've passed the test of insecurity because all you care to do is to help other people become what it is God has called them to be. So these are some things we're going to talk through. I'm going to talk about the essentials of becoming a leader. Hopefully, I'll be able to get to a place tonight where we can talk about the definition of leadership so that you can have that in your notes as well. I believe this, that every human was born to be a leader, but most will die followers. It's a sad state of affairs, my friend, that every human was born to be a leader, but most will die followers. If you look at the account given in Genesis, when God created man, he created man and he gave him dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, over every living thing that creepeth on the earth. He said, I gave you dominion. I gave him sovereign rule. I gave him leadership, authority, and influence, and the power to make decisions in the earth. So when God created man, he created man with leadership in him. There is nobody that is in the earth that does not have the capacity for leadership. Whether they embrace it, that's one thing. But every single person that God created, when he was putting us all on our little assembly line, and he said, I have an idea for you in the earth, he put leadership in every single one of us. Just like he put fly in bird, just like he put swim in fish, he put leadership in man. And so when we embrace that ability that God has put in us, then we'll be what it is God has called us to be. Don't live life unfulfilled. You don't have a reason to live life unfulfilled. Yeah, but you don't know what I've been through. But you don't know what I've been through either. We all have to make choices to be better. You can either be bitter or you can be better. And the difference between followers and leaders is that most followers are bitter and most leaders are better. When you make a decision to say, I'm going to do what it is I'm supposed to do and make these decisions that push you to a place to expand your leadership capacity, then you'll see God at work in your life. And so when I say that everyone was born to lead, but you must become a leader, what I'm saying to you is this, that this statement implies that there is a reality, but there also is a process. The reality of the fact is that everybody was born to lead. That's the reality. But the process is you must become a leader, that you must embrace the process and the reality that every seed was created to become a tree, but it must become a tree. If I have an apple seed in my hand, yeah, it is created to be an apple tree. But if it never goes through the process, it will always be an apple seed. That is the life of most believers, that God has put in them the seed of leadership, but they will spend the majority of their life being followers because they don't submit to the process. The difference between leaders and followers is that those that have decided that I'm going to submit to the process, that if this seed is going to be what it is supposed to be, the seed must submit to it. That means it must be put in soil. It must be exposed to moisture. It must be exposed to sunlight. It must be cracked open. It must be covered over. There's these processes that begin to happen so that the seed can become what the tree it was designed to be. So never hate your circumstances or your situations, because really what they're designed to do is to crack open the potential that is within you to unleash you to the world. So don't despise what you go through, because those are the things that God used to develop you to be what it is he's called you to be. People ask me all the time, they say, well, Bishop, are leaders born or are they made? Actually, the answer is both. You are born a leader, but you have to be made one. So there are some people that will never come into the awareness of what they have because they allow the circumstances and the situations of life to tell them otherwise. They allow life to live them instead of them living life. So let me give you a couple of these things. I'll try to take it slow so that you can write these down. But these are some concepts that you must understand and you must embrace. Number one, trapped in every follower is a hidden leader. I just kind of talked about that with the seed. Trapped in every apple seed is an apple tree. But the apple seed must submit to the process so that it can become an apple tree. Trapped in every follower is a hidden leader. So trapped in you, if you're in a follower position, submit to the process. Guess what? Inside of you is a leader. Number two, every human was created to lead and designed for dominion. Remember, I talked about Genesis chapter 1, that you were wired for dominion. You were wired for leadership. But that dominion, it was not supposed to be expressed over people. If you want that leadership and that dominion to be expressed over people, then you're not a leader. You're a dictator. You're a Hitler. But if you want to be what it is God has called you to be, that leadership in you is to help lead other people to what it is they're supposed to be. So I'll get into that a little bit later. So again, number two, every human was created to lead and designed for dominion. You're designed for that. You're designed to be a leader. Number three, leadership potential resides in every person. That leadership potential resides in every person. Yeah, I know you may look at your rock star Christians and you might think they're awesome, but I want you to understand that that same potential lies in you if you would embrace it. You can look at them and you can say, okay, I need the characteristics and the mentality and the steadfastness that they have to become what it is you're supposed to be. But don't shrink back because you see other people doing things that you're not necessarily doing yet. The potential is within you. Number four, you were born to lead, but you must become a leader. You were born to lead, but you must become a leader. Because you must understand is this, number five, that true leadership is about self-manifestation. That an apple seed is an apple tree that must be manifested. That you have leadership inside of you, but that true leadership in you must be manifested. So it has to go through the process so that you can become what it is you're supposed to be. Number six, and this one is the one that I feel like we need to really understand that the purpose for true leadership is to help produce other leaders. Because why would an apple seed produce oranges? An apple seed, when it becomes an apple tree, it produces apples. It does not produce oranges. Because if that's the case, it needs to be a different kind of seed. Because God has put the seed of leadership inside of us. What leadership does is once it is birthed, it births in you a desire to help birth other leaders. So you can tell when an individual has actually translated into becoming a leader because what they want to do is help followers become leaders. You can tell when a person has been converted, so to speak, because what they want to do is they want to go back and get somebody else. The leadership that has been in my life now is because I understand it and I embrace it. And now I want to help other people become what it is God has called them to be. And so now the true purpose of leadership is to actually help us now help other people become leaders. So again, I gave you those six things. Make sure you write those things down. But the purpose of true leadership is to produce leaders. And that's what we want to do. We want you to embrace the capacity of leadership that is within you so that you can help other people become leaders as well. Know this, that a true leader has the passion to help other people become great. That when you see people that don't want to share information, when you see people that are vague, when you see people that don't want to help, don't want to give, don't want to lay down their life for others, they haven't embraced leadership yet. But a true leader has a passion to help other people become great. That's my life's passion. It's bigger than being able to say I got a house and a car and I live where I want to live, and the whole prosperity idea that we have today, that it's about things that I understand now that my value in life is helping other people find their value. That my greatness in life is tied to other people finding their greatness. What a purpose to live for. That now I live to help other people come to life. That's leadership. Leadership is being able to be there, to help, to instruct, to guide, give information, to help other people find life. Now that I've laid down my life, I actually know what true life is now, and it's helping other people find life. Because true leaders are so secure in themselves, my friend, that competition isn't anything that they give thought to. I don't give competition is not a thought. I don't compete with another pastor when a pastor starts another church or does any of the things that we do. I could care less because I am so secure in what it is God has called me to be. I know that there can't be another me. There can't be another me. So you can do everything that I've done, but if you don't understand my mind and my mentality, then it won't work the same way it works for me. Because the potential that God has put in me is being expressed through my own unique creativity. And as I allow that to flow out, then the leadership capacity is flowing through me. So if you're in competition with people and you feel like people are in competition with you, don't worry about it because leadership is not about copying. Leadership is about being original. People don't spend millions of dollars for fake paintings. People spend millions of dollars for originals. Remember, my friend, people will pay you to be you once you discover you. That's good. That's good, Bishop. That's good. People will pay you. Once you've discovered you, they will pay you to be you. That's the goal in life. The goal in life is to always be the original you. Don't be anybody else. Don't let them tell you what it is you ought to be, how you ought to act, what you ought to dress. That's not leadership. That's following. You must now know that once you come into the awareness of who you are, what God is putting you, the gifts, the talents, and the abilities that He's putting you, that it is okay for you to be you. Be you. All right. So, what is true leadership? The first thing is this, that leadership is not about status, but it's about service. I kind of talked about this Sunday at our church that leadership is not about position. The lowest level of leadership is positional leadership. The lowest level of leadership is title driven leadership. That just because you have a title that you think that that's leadership, that's not leadership. That's just positional leadership. That's the lowest level of leadership. But the highest level of leadership is servant leadership. It is us understanding that leadership is not about status. You don't have to call my name. You don't even have to say I helped you or anything, but leadership is about service. When I help people, then leadership is then being expressed in my life. And it's so sad that today we think that leadership is about controlling people and controlling organizations and controlling departments and controlling our wives. And that's not what leadership is. Leadership is the ability to serve people, to serve organizations, to serve departments, to serve our wives, and to serve the world. That's what leadership is. Leadership is the ability to serve, not control. That's not leadership when you're controlling. Controlling is the mark of a dictator. That's not a leader. Service is the mark of a true leader. When you give yourself, you lay down yourself to help others come into the awareness of who they are. So leadership is not about status, my friend. Leadership is about service. Number two, leadership is not about power, but it is about empowerment. That leadership is not about a power card or a power position. That success in leadership is shown by how you help people who are down get up. That's what leadership is. That's what empowerment is. Empowerment is helping people that are down get up. What I'm doing tonight and what I've been doing on Sundays is empowering you with information to help you get up. This is not a handout. This is a hand up. I'm trying to empower you to become what it is you're supposed to be. What good is this information just in my head or just in some book and is not helping individuals coming to what it is God has called them to be? It's not about power. It's about empowerment. So honestly, success is shown by how you help people get up. When people are down, you help them get up and discover the potential and the power that resides within them. Number three, leadership is not about manipulation, but it is about inspiration. That when you can't inspire an individual, guess what you have to do? You have to resort to control. That's why so much control going on in our churches today and organizations and at work and all the above, because they don't spend the time to inspire people because they haven't found their personal place of passion yet. So what they have to do is control people to get people to do what they need to do. It's dictation. It's being a dictator. It's not living out leadership principles that Christ wants us to live out. So you must understand that leadership is not about manipulation. It is about inspiration. Number four, leadership is not about people, but it's about purpose. That leadership is not going to look for followers. Leadership is about going after your purpose. That Leadership is not this idea that I'm going to oppress people. I'm going after my life's purpose. Yeah, I'm a pastor and people kind of talk about it all the time. But as a pastor, I'm not sitting there to try to say that I want the largest church in St. Louis. I understand that our vision is to be large for the influence that we need to have in our city because of the resources that comes along with largeness. But I'm not sitting there saying, God, we need people. I'm not looking to be a pastor so that I can have people call me a pastor. That's not what leadership is. Leadership is helping individuals come into the knowledge of who they are and what it is God has called them to be. So it's not about people, it's about purpose. I'm pursuing my life's purpose, and that includes people. And so I'm not going after followers to validate my leadership. No, people are attracted to people that have discovered themselves. And so if you have empty pews and nobody's showing up at church, then you got to discover you. Once you discover you, then people are naturally attracted to that. Number five, leadership is more about becoming than doing. That leadership, sometimes we think that leadership is this activity that we need to be doing, that we need to be bossing people around, or we need to be instructing something, or we need to be doing something. Leadership is not really an issue of doing, leadership is an issue of being. It is me understanding that I am a tree, and then I'm spending the rest of my life becoming that tree. It is me understanding that, okay, I find out what my purpose is, who I am, why I'm supposed to be doing this, and then I'm spending the rest of my life becoming the very thing God showed me that I'm supposed to be. Leaders who know who they really are will not rest until they become who they know they're supposed to be. Again, leaders who truly know who they really are will not rest until they become what they know they are supposed to be. That you will endure the criticism. True leaders can handle high levels of criticism. They're not tainted by the pressures of popularity. These are people that are actually concerned with becoming their true self. You know, my motive as a pastor is always challenged because the world today, I mean, we have shows out there, that's kind of talking about, us pastors, and you have all of these scandals out there that's always talking about pastors. And this is the reason why I'm pastoring is because it's my purpose, not because I wanted to be one. It's because God called me to do this. It's not something that I'm seeking out to be just to have a title. In reality, true leaders don't seek out leadership. Leadership finds them. This is what found me. I didn't seek out for this. I was going after my life's purpose. God, why am I here in the earth? Why do you have Antoine Jackson in the earth, born at the time I was born, now? It's because obviously I've discovered that I have a gift that God has put in me that I'm supposed to serve the world with. And now that I'm giving myself to that, he says, okay, for this season of your life, I need you in pastoral ministry because I need you to help other people become what it is they're supposed to be. I need you to help them find a relationship with them. And so I'm not in this for the title. I'm in this because I'm in a chase to discover me. And as I'm finding out what God has put in me, then he's putting me in positions to be able to work that leadership ability and that leadership potential out in me. So it's not hard, for leaders to really help other people become leaders because they have found this discovery of themselves. I'm not afraid of a church split. I'm not afraid of giving other people a voice that's on my leadership team to be able to talk. I'm not afraid of sharing the platform with other individuals in our church because I'm secure enough in myself to know that if I do it right, regardless of what anybody else does, then God will take care of me. But it's so hard for us today because the society has trained us not to trust ourselves. The society trains us to be insecure because they train us to only do it the way they say do it. So when we don't do it the way they do it or say do it, then we don't fit in. And when we don't fit in anymore, we're striving to try to find that acceptance. And so we do things that create insecurity. But when you find leadership sets you above. It's a trend setting kind of thing. Yeah, nobody's not going to be doing what it is you're doing. But when you found leadership, you walk into this place where you walk into the unknown and you're not afraid to do things different and better. Here's the definition of leadership that I need you to write this down. I cannot take credit for this definition of leadership at all. So I need you to write this down. This definition of leadership came from Dr. Miles Monroe, who I think is just incredible in the teaching of leadership. But this definition I think is incredible. So I'm going to give you these words. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 words I'm going to give to you. And then from there, I'll go through and explain those ones. So the first word I need you to write down is leadership. The second word I need you to write down is influence. The third word I need you to write down is inspiration. The fourth word I need you to write down is passion. The fifth word I need you to write down is vision. The sixth word is conviction. And the seventh is purpose. Again, it's leadership, influence, inspiration, passion, vision, conviction, and purpose. You need to write all those words down. This definition of leadership is very simple. Leadership is the capacity to influence others through inspiration, generated by a passion, motivated by a vision, birthed by a conviction, and produced by a purpose. Again, leadership is the capacity to influence others through inspiration, generated by a passion, motivated by a vision, birthed by a conviction, and produced by a purpose. Now, if you're going to really understand leadership, you must understand those words. You need a dictionary, and you need to understand those words because those words really encapsulate leadership. And if you really want to understand leadership, then what you have to do actually is flip the definition upside down. You have to flip that thing completely upside down because you must understand that no leader tries to become a leader. I talked about that. No leader tries to become a leader. Leadership starts actually at the bottom, if you must say, the popular song, starting from the bottom, now we here. That's crazy because that's honestly leadership. Leadership is starting at the bottom. Again, the definition says leadership is the capacity to influence others through inspiration, generated by passion, motivated by vision, birthed by conviction, and produced by a purpose. Well, the first thing you start with is purpose, not leadership. Again, this is why no true leader tries to find leadership. You find your purpose. And when you find your purpose, guess what? You find leadership. So leadership is a result of the process, and it actually starts at the bottom. And so leaders, most people don't call themselves leaders. Actually, people call them leaders. Most people don't even know that they're leaders. People have to tell them that they're leaders. I didn't know I was a leader. Somebody had to tell me that they saw leadership in me. I didn't know that leadership was a part of me. Somebody had to tell me they saw leadership in me. And so because they saw leadership in me, it made me discover it. It made me search it out. It made me find out my purpose. So you must understand that everything starts with a purpose. I know this is the hot button, topic and subject because people have asked me all the time, well, how do I find my purpose? You must understand this, that purpose is a discovery. That purpose is one of those things when you put yourself in purposeful places of submission. Remember, the seed has to submit to the process. So sometimes you don't understand purpose, and you will never understand purpose until submission is a part of your DNA. The submit word is like a cuss word today in the church when we use it, but we don't understand the power of submission because if the seed never submits to the soil, it'll never become the tree it was designed to be. If the Christian never submits to the local church, it will never become the believer God designed for it to be. Why is it today that we feel like we can become something that God wants us to become around the church? No, you have to be a part of it. This is God's garden. The church is God's garden. And he puts believers and he plants us in the church to start the process to get us to become what it is God has called us to be. The church is never designed to be a jail cell church. The church is designed to be a releasing church. So once you've gone through the process and you have developed and become the tree God has called you to be, then we're supposed to release you so that you can then reproduce after your own kind. That's really the process of the church. But because we've allowed, our preferences, the way grandmama did it, the way Archbishop so and so did it, and the way Bishop run it, and the way the organization says it, and the way our ideas of the elder board has for the church, that we have allowed those things to stifle the potential of leaders that are supposed to help take the church to the next place, and not just the institution of the church. We have the institution of the family, we have the institution of government, we have all of these institutions that we're supposed to be the leaders in, but because we don't submit to the process so well, we don't ever become the true things that God has called for us to be. So everything starts with purpose. This is when you discover that you're not a mistake. This is when you discover that you are not a biological mishap. This is when you understand that you have this personal experience with God that causes you to understand that you were born to do something important. My father has gone home to be with the Lord. But when I got saved at 15 years old, I kind of started just like everybody else. But at about 17 years old, when the Lord started dealing with me about the reason I was here in the earth, I was presented by my father. My father wanted me to go to the military because he thought all men were supposed to go to the military. Long story short, I felt the Lord was calling me here to St. Louis to ministry. Now, I didn't know what I know now, that the influence that God was calling for me to actually have in St. Louis. But at that moment, I knew that I was born to do something important in my city. And so, because I was born to do something important in my city, it didn't allow me to go with the status quo and go to the military, because I had the discipline that my dad was a military man. So I had the discipline that I needed to have to live in the earth. But God was calling me here to St. Louis for ministry. And so I had to obey that and submit to that. And guess what? Purpose was born. Purpose was born because I was being pushed in a direction that was opposite of my purpose, but because I felt a deepening hunger to do ministry here in St. Louis, I couldn't do it. It caused me to be defiant, because leaders are defiant. I wasn't disrespectful to my father, but I had to let him know I couldn't do that because God was calling me here to do this. And on his deathbed, he said to me, had I known what it is God was calling for you to do, I would have never been the hindrance to you that I was, because purpose had begun to be shown in my life. Because with purpose, there's evidence. If a person is truly walking in their purpose, you will see it evident in their life. You won't see trickles of it. You will see that it is a part of a person's DNA, that if I don't do this, I'm going to die. That's when purpose is really shown in a person's life. And so when that purpose awakened in me, then it got me focused from that moment on what I'm supposed to do. Had I not got focused in that moment, then I wouldn't even be on this call now. I wouldn't even be on this internet right now teaching you about leadership, had I not made the decision to go after purpose and not after money. Had I not made the decision to go after purpose and go after what the world thought and quote unquote thought a man was supposed to be, then I wouldn't be on this call right now inspiring you to become what it is you're supposed to be. It's hard work. It's hard decisions. It's being able to stand in the face of trial, tribulation, and those that will even turn their back on you. It's being able to say, I choose God rather than man. I choose to do what it is God has called me to do. And because of that decision, I found purpose. That's why I'm here right now. That one decision has unlocked the key to my destiny in my life. So you must understand that purpose is who you are. The purpose is who you are. And we're going to walk through these terms. Remember, leadership is the capacity to influence others through inspiration, generated by passion, motivated by vision, birthed by conviction, and produced by a purpose. So we're flipping this definition upside down so that you can understand how leadership starts. Leadership starts with purpose. Say after me, leadership starts with purpose. Yeah, I know I can't hear you, but I hear you. Leadership starts with purpose. So there has to be an encounter that you have to have with God, and there is an encounter that you have to have with yourself that defines the intentions for your birth. That encounter happened for me at 17. That I had this encounter with God, and I had this encounter with myself that defined for me why I was here. What's horrible about that is because the world doesn't allow you to come to that experience early. Because honestly, it's very rare when you find people that actually push you to be you. In this world full of competition, in this world of control and manipulation, when you find a leader, when you find a church, when you find family members that actually push you to be all God has called you to be, you cling to those people. You shut out other individuals that never push you to your destiny. And it's a shame to me that we stay in relationships, we stay in churches, we stay connected to people that could care less about our destiny, but we do it because of loyalty, but we don't understand that we're missing out on what it is God has called us to be. So purpose, man, is trying to be made alive. And that's why you're listening to me tonight, because God is trying to awake purpose in you to be what it is you're supposed to be. The second experience that kicks in once you found purpose is conviction. That once you found your purpose, then conviction begins to kick in your life. It is this belief in your significance. Is you begin to discover that you are important to the world. It's so funny to me that we can believe that God can do anything for anybody else, but we don't believe God can do anything for us. How sad that we can believe that God can heal anybody, but we won't believe God can heal us. We can believe God can fix anybody's finances, but we don't believe He wants to do anything for ours. We can believe that God can fix anybody's relationships, but He don't want to fix ours. It's so sad. But once we get to a place of conviction, this conviction begins to kick in, you begin to discover that you're important to the world. I have found myself saying this a lot lately, and I never mean any disrespect to it by people that I deal with and I encounter in my life. But when I find things becoming insignificant, or when things are becoming petty, or when things are becoming, they're taking the focus off of the big picture, I'm like, you know what? I have a world to change. I have a world to change. Somebody may say, well, no, that's arrogant. You can't change the world all by yourself. I'm not saying that I'm supposed to change the world all by myself, but I am deeply convicted that the gifts that I have in me this generation needs. I'm deeply convicted that I was born for a purpose and that this world needs my purpose. That's how convicted I am. I won't allow anybody or anything to pull me off of that focus. That I believe that if there are any crabs in the barrel that are trying to pull me down, I am so convicted that I need to make it to the top. I'll just keep climbing. That's the conviction you guys need. You need that conviction. Once purpose has been birthed in you, you need the conviction to say, okay, I know who I am, but conviction produces in you why I am. Again, purpose produces in you who you are. Conviction produces in you why you are. Once you get a deep sense of conviction for why you are here, I guarantee you, my friend, nothing will stop you. You'll have hard days, but nothing will stop you from giving up because conviction begins to kick in. Now, I must tell you that this is dangerous. When you get convicted about something and that conviction comes in your life, this is dangerous because this is the point in your life where you'll argue with God. You'll be like, okay, God, now I know I'm called for such a time as this. I know I'm called to do this. I know what is going on in my life right now is not the end. This is where you begin to realize that you are important to the world and that you begin to understand your own self-worth. You begin to build that self-confidence. You begin to understand not that you're special, but you begin to understand that God has put something in you that you must deliver. So people don't believe that you're supposed to be self-confident. The world doesn't tell you that, but the Bible says, love God with your heart, your mind, and your soul, then love your neighbor like you love yourself. So to the degree that you love yourself will only be to the degree that you'll be able to love others. So he never told you not to be confident. He told you not to be prideful or arrogant. So make sure you know the difference. Self confidence is knowing that I believe in the gift, the ability, and the talent that God has put in me to change the world. And I don't need anybody else to validate that because I have a relationship with God that validates that for me. You want to know how that's always so sad? Because we spend so much of our time trying to fit in that we never stand out. I'm so saddened sometimes by the state of the church that all we want to do is to fit in, that we never stand out, that we don't understand that Jesus was alive and he stood out. That's why the Pharisees and the Sadducees, yes, they were sad to be seen. They hated Jesus because Jesus didn't fit in with their normal Jewish culture, the way that they thought he should act and behave. He took people from where they are and he made them what it is they were supposed to be. And they wasn't feeling that. He was a man full of grace. He wasn't a man that was legalistic. He was a man that wanted to help people become what it is they needed to be. He was a world changer. That's what I seek to be. So sad that we are so driven to be accepted that we've given up our right to be exceptional. Chew on that. We're so driven to be accepted that we have given up our right to be exceptional. I'm sorry, I won't do that. Conviction is something that always shows up in vision. That when a person gets convicted, then the next thing that happens in their life, vision is then born. Remember, purpose is who you are. Conviction is why you are. And vision is how you're supposed to do it. How are you supposed to do what it is God has called you to be? Well, when conviction truly shows up in a person's life, then it births in them vision. And it bursts in them. How am I supposed to help the world? How am I supposed to take the gift that God has put in me? And how am I supposed to help the world? That is what vision is. Vision is not just being able to have sight, it is being able to see. How can I help individuals become what it is they're supposed to be? How can I help the world? The tragic thing about humanity is that the world teaches you that all you're supposed to do is get a job, pay bills, retire when they're done with you, and then die. That's the world system idea for you. That you're supposed to work until you're 65 or 70 or get Medicare or get on Obamacare or whatever that is, and then just wait to die. That's horrible. That's existing. That's not living. God didn't put you in the earth just for you to work, pay bills, retire, then die. Come on, there is something that you're supposed to be giving to the world. And as you give that and serve that to the world, you'll find your significance for your life. And so I know that talking through this, it might be difficult for some of you guys because I'm fighting through a lot of the strongholds that have been implanted in your head. But I'm really trying to break that down because a lot of us have been born in negativity. And because we've been born in negativity, I've seen this that when people have been raised in a positive, affirming environment, they typically come into their purpose a little earlier than those that have been birthed in very negative. They've had a lot of situations, especially that's been born in religious environments. It is hard to trust through the mud because a lot of the stuff that they call right is wrong, and a lot of the stuff they call wrong is right. And it's hard to get through that stuff. But once you embrace it and you find out what it is, you never want to go back to that stuff. And so this is why, with this kind of stuff that I'm teaching you guys, you don't want to miss a session. You don't want to miss church. Church has been packed. Thank y'all for coming to church. These calls, people have been on these calls. People have been watching us via Ustream every single week. We just appreciate it. But I'm telling you, you need this information, not just for me, but for you, because you don't want to miss. I'm trying to help you create the environment for your growth now. I'm trying to help you bypass all of the years of stuff that people said you never would be, all of the stuff that people said you would never accomplish, they never said that you would be it. I'm trying to cultivate a positive environment for you to become what it is God has called you to be. It is so sad to me, it is so miserable to me that people will spend the rest of their life employed but not deployed. Come on. God didn't create for you. I'm getting a little mad now. That God didn't create for you to spend the rest of your life to just be employed but never deployed. That God is trying to send you into all the world to use your gifts, your talents, and your abilities and everything that He has put in your life. And it's just so sad to me that people will go, they will subject themselves and waste valuable time in their life because they want the approval of men. They'll stay employed on a job, stay employed in a church that is never deploying them to become what it is they know that they're supposed to be. That's a sad state of affairs. You guys that are a part of Equation Church, you're lucky. My wife and I want the best for you. We want you to be what it is God has called you to be. And we're spending our life to invest in you, to deploy you. If you leave us to do what it is God has called you to be, we celebrate you because we want you to go be what it is God has called you. Go into all the world, preach the gospel, heal the sick, raise the dead, operate in your leadership potential because the world has need of you. And so as we're talking through this vision piece, you must understand that vision is so Awesome. Because vision is your purpose in pictures. That's all vision is. Vision is being able to take your purpose that God has given to your heart and is actually translating that into pictures so that you're able to carry that out. It's basically this: it's a seed seeing itself as a tree, but it's seeing itself as a tree with fruit on the tree while it's still a seed. That's what vision is. See, some of us, we have self ambition and it's not really truly vision. Vision is a seed being able to see itself as a tree with fruit on it while it's still a seed. That's what vision is. Vision is you being able to see your life walking in leadership while you're still a follower. It's being able to say, I have a vision that God has given to me for my life to help humanity. True vision always is there to help humanity. True vision is not self-serving. It is how can I help people discover what it is God has called them to be. And so we have been trained not to believe in our visions, and we must understand that our vision is a photograph of our end. And so people are saying, well, God, what is my end going to be? You're creating it. He gave you dominion, sovereign rule. I think the light bulb just went off for somebody. That the vision that you want for your life will be as you create it. You have to walk out the purpose that is within your life, and you have to create the end. Thank God for that. So you need to walk to a place where you say, okay, God, this is what it is you call me to be. I'm going to put this vision. I'm going to take my purpose and I'm going to put it in technicolor so that I'm able to see it ahead of me. And I'm going to write the vision. I'm going to make it plain so that I won't cast off restraints and run wild like other people are doing in this world. I'm going to be very focused about what it is that I'm called to be. That my vision is my future address for my life. It is my future address for my life. It is basically my vision is my destiny in photographs. It is me understanding that I'm seeing what it is God is calling for me to be. It is Martin Luther King that says, I have a dream. I have a dream that one day my kids will not be judged by their color, but by the content of their character. Remember, he lived in a time where that was not even the case. There were separate bathrooms for whites and for coloreds. He didn't even see that. His vision caused him to dream. And guess what? His vision has outlived him. We're living in a world that he dreamed about. Thank God he was able to dream. If maybe your kid's life will be better off if you got so focused off of yourself and got focused on them. Because leadership is not focused on today. Leadership is focused on legacy. Maybe my kids will have a better life that I'll live because of the decision that I've made. I've had a conversation with a couple of people in my church, and I really feel strong about this, that one of the things that I am so excited about is that because I made a stance to be a part of a church and to launch a church that was religion free, so to speak, that my kids, my grandkids will not know religion because of the sacrifice I made as their grandfather. How powerful is that? That they won't have to go through the mud that I went through. Only thing they'll know is an authentic relationship with Christ. I believe that God has put in me this idea to be able to destroy religion and to be able to help people come into an authentic relationship and their purpose for why they are here. So again, I just want to hit this with vision, that you must understand that your vision is always about improving humanity. That true vision is never private advancement. It is never private ambition. That true vision is always about improving the quality of life for others. When you've translated into vision, you don't say, well, vision now is a big house or a big car. Like vision boards, I see a lot of people say they want things. And I'm like, no, vision is helping humanity. Now, I'm about to help you with this, and this is going to bless you. That if you help every person get what it is they need, you will never lack in anything you want. If you help people get what they need, you will never lack in anything you want. That you don't have to worry about a big house or a big car or things when you have a vision-centered life, because those things are attracted to you when you help others become what they're supposed to be. When you help another individual when you help them become what they're supposed to be, they will help you. be what you're supposed to be. Man, I hope y'all heard that because that was huge. That right there is, I think, one of the biggest points that I think that the church has to get back to, because prosperity now has become about things, and we don't understand that prosperity is to help other people get up, help people become what it is they're supposed to be. When you find a person that actually walks in vision for their life, it is when they understand that their future is more important than their present. That I live in this. It's hard to live with a person. Honestly, it is hard to live with a person that is a leader, a true leader, because they never live in the moment. They live in the future. It's a person that is a leader. Actually, what they do is they visit the present, but they live in the future. That's what leadership is. I'm constantly living. I don't live here. I'm 10 steps ahead of my church. Where my church is right now, that's great. It's fine. It's doing wonderful. God bless you. But I'm 10 steps ahead because I'm living in the future of what it is we're supposed to be. I come and I visit the present. I'm visiting the present. This is just a visit because leadership is forward thinking. I live in the future. I visit the present. That's when you understand that you have embraced leadership. And so when a person believes, this is why I'm walking through this because this is good stuff. When a person believes in the future more than they do the present, passion begins to take over their life. You see me going over these words? Now you're starting to see it. When a person believes in the future more than they do the present, passion takes over their life. Passion is this thing that is this desire that is stronger than death. Passion is this desire that is stronger than death. When a person believes in a vision to the point that they are willing to die, that's when leadership is born. Leadership was born when my father was about to kill me because I defied him about going to the military. That's when leadership was born because I was willing to die for my conviction. My passion rose up in me to say, I'm called to this city. I'm called to do something in St. Louis, Missouri, so I can't leave it. And so that passion in me was stronger than the death that I was going to face. It was stronger than him kicking me out. It was stronger than that sacrifice that I had to make, that passion in me, because I believed in it so much. That conviction in me birthed in me that conviction. Remember, when a person believes in a vision to the point that they are willing to die for it, then that's when a leader is born. So people can talk leadership principles. People can talk about what you need to do to become a leader. But honestly, at the end of the day, if you don't see passion, if you don't see something that they're willing to lay down their life for, they have not translated into leadership. They are still followers until you're able to lay down your life to do it. Jesus laid down his life for us. I hate to bring this guy up, but it's a shame that we have to see it in his idea of Bin Laden. That Bin Laden had this conviction that he wanted Iraq to be a complete Muslim state. So he didn't want it to have any American influence. And because he didn't want it to have any American influence, his conviction produced in him a passion to die for it. And he was so passionate about it that other people were willing to die for his cause. Why is it that the church, we won't even give up our parking spots? We won't even give up our seats for other individuals. And we say we want to do the things for Christ. And we want to be what it is God has called us to be. And we fight over parking spots. And we have people that are passionate about what they need to do. They will lay down their life for it. And so if your business or this pursuit in life is not to help people, then it's not a vision from God. That's why that vision that Bin Laden had was not a vision from God, because his vision was for murder. He wanted to murder people to accomplish what it was, his dream. But people are asking me, well, how do you know if it's from God? It's very simple. If your vision or your pursuit in life is not to help people, then it is not a vision from God. This is one of the reasons why Equation Church, our motto is love God, help people, change the world. That God is our focus. Worship is what we do. But helping people that's our vision. We want to help people get up, become what it is they're supposed to be, and then we want to change the world. So again, if you help people get what they want, you will always have what you need. This is why the Bible is always stressing the fact that giving is always more important than receiving, because he's trying to get us to understand that passion is produced in us when we lay down our life to help people become what it is they're supposed to be. And so then after that passion is then produced in us, what it does is it produces inspiration. That people are inspired by your passion, not by your preaching. I don't think I'm the best preacher on it at all, but I feel like people are inspired by my passion for what it is we ought to do. I have a passion for my city. You can always tell what a person is passionate about by what they talk about. You can always see what they talk about. If they talk about themselves, if they always use the I to describe themselves more than others, then they're passionate about their own pursuits. But when you are passionate about helping other people, it is all you talk about. It is not something that is sporadic. I love my city. I love my church. I love what it is God has called us to do here. So I'm passionate about it. So people are not drawn to my preaching. I stutter. I mess up all the time. I'm not the best preacher at all, but I'm definitely passionate about what it is God has called us to be. People are inspired by your passion, not by your shouting. That we have so many churches today that focus on the shout and the dance that I'm just like, I call it diabetes church. That all they want is a high. All they want is an insulin shot, but they don't want transformation. I'm not knocking praising God, but you need transformation, man. Get some word in there that'll transform your life and empower you to change the world. So if you got done shouting, you should not go to sleep. I seen a photo on Instagram, and they kind of talked about worship leaders. I talked about how they're on stage and they're worshiping God, but as soon as they get done, they're on their phone, looking down, tweeting, doing or whatever. Because it's so funny to me today that we're not inspired by the word anymore. We're more inspired by the church experience, but we're not inspired by the word. But when passion is in you, passion then produces in you inspiration. People are inspired when they meet people who are so passionate about something that they are willing to die for it. People are intrigued when they find a person that is so passionate about something that you're willing to lay down your life for it. You are willing to sacrifice your time, sacrifice your money, sacrifice your sleep. You are that passionate about it. Guess what? It inspires people. People then find that inspiration and they want to be connected to that. And it's funny to me that terrorists believed in Bin Laden's passion and connected to his cause, and it's just ridiculous to me. Why can't we believe in Christ's passion? His passion is people. How can we help people become what it is they're supposed to be? You know, Jesus came here, they were going to arrest him, and he knew they were going to kill him, but he was willing to die. Now that's passion. And I'm inspired by Christ because he loved what he was supposed to do, that he was willing to lay down his life for it. I have no other way. That I found that true leadership is now I'm willing to die for it. I believe in this cause. I believe in the church. I believe in what God has called us to do. I believe in advancing the kingdom of God. I'm willing to lay down my life for it to see it advance. Know this. Never ask a person to believe in something that you're not willing to die for. If you want inspiration to come in your life, I don't ask people to believe in something that they're not willing to die for. Because if you're not willing to die for, if you're not willing to sacrifice for it, then why should I believe in it? You know, if you have a passion to open up your business, why are you coming to ask me for money first if you're not willing to sacrifice any of the money you got? If you're not willing to lay down your own stuff for it, then I shouldn't invest in it. Because what are you willing to put into it first? I've been willing to put everything in my heart, my soul, my tears, my money, everything because I believe in it. And I can't ask anybody else to do something that I'm not going to do. And so that inspiration that is within me, that passion that is within me is inspiring other people to come alongside me to help me do what it is I'm supposed to do. And so inspiration is when you generate the meaning of life in others. When you've inspired other individuals, it actually generates, I'm connected to something, and my life is I need to give my life to this. So the next thing is this is the last thing is it's influence and leadership. I'll just want if you give me a couple more minutes to kind of go over this, that'd be fine. But once inspiration is then put in your life, then what happens is this: people then give you their authority. And what their authority is their influence. That when people submit their influence to you, basically what they're doing is giving you their authority, which comes along with their resources, their time, and their money. So this is why you don't seek followers. You seek influence. Because when you inspire people, they give you their influence. They come alongside you and they help you with their time. They help you with their talent. They help you with their money. This is why Jesus gave the disciples an invitation. He says, hey, follow me. He didn't make them follow him. He said, follow me and I'll make you fishers of men. He didn't, they made the decision to follow them. He didn't force them to come. His influence allowed them to be able to come and follow him. And so influence is when people are so impacted by your conviction that they are willing to submit their authority to your cause. If you're like, I don't know why I don't have any other individuals around me helping me, it is because maybe you haven't been deeply impacted enough yet for other people to believe in what it is you're supposed to do. But influence is when the people around you are so impacted by your conviction that they are willing to submit their influence to your cause to help you become what it is you're supposed to be. So when people are influenced by you, guess what? They call you a leader. You don't call yourself a leader. I don't walk around and say I'm a leader. People call me a leader because I influence people, and those people that I influence choose to follow me. Those individuals then call me a leader. So actually, leaders are made by the people. They're made by the people. The people say, hey, that person is a leader because the people are inspired by your passion in such a way that they are dedicated enough to your cause that they'll actually follow you. You must understand that true leaders never seek followers. Followers are attracted to true leaders. The true leaders never seek followers. Followers are attracted to true leadership. Know this, that leadership is just a corporate commitment to a cause. It is us saying, I have a commitment to a cause. We have a commitment to change our community. We have a commitment to change our world. And so because of that, that's leadership. It is us coming together with our commitment, throwing all of our influence into one hat to say, what can we do to help other people come into the knowledge of who they are? Abraham Lincoln said this. He says, I have said nothing but what I am willing to live by. And if it be the pleasure of the Almighty God, die by. Man, that is powerful. That is powerful. You know, that's on the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. That he basically said that I have said nothing that I am willing to live by. I have said nothing but what I'm willing to live by. But if it is my pleasure, if it is the pleasure of the Almighty God, guess what? I die by it. That's when leadership was born in him. He saw a country that was free and without slaves. When everybody around him had slaves, he saw a country free of slaves. Guess what? He was assassinated for it. You don't understand that leadership is messy. That when you embrace the spirit of leadership and you embrace wanting to grow, there will be people hunting you down. People don't want you to succeed. We're mad because people talk about us or post an Instagram or a Facebook about us. But when you have embraced leadership, people will go for the jugular. People will try to kill you. But it's a privilege to die for something that I believe in because I believe in it so much. That's why the Apostle Paul was able to say, to die is to gain, because he believed in it so much that he was able to see the gain from it. You know what I'm so passionate about? I see a religion-free church. Yes, I see a religion-free church. I see a body of Christ that is free from untainted religion, that is tainted, that is not tainted by man's traditions and man's idea about the mission of the church, that our preferences are broken off of the back of the church, that it is a religion-free church where people actually come into a relationship with God and find their purpose. Yeah, that's a huge task when the majority of our organizations have the largest group of people in them. But I'm telling you the truth. I want God so much to be alive in our church where we break free of religion and we walk into a relationship. My question to you tonight is, are you willing to die for what you believe? As you're embracing this spirit of leadership and you feel like God has called you to a particular purpose, are you willing to die for what you believe in? Because you must understand this, that leadership is not finding something to live for. Leadership is finding something to die for. Leadership is not finding something to live for. Leadership is finding something to die for. I know that's starting to get scary now. Look, because our mentality is, I want to live and not die and declare the wonderful works of the Lord. Is what can you lay down your life for? Your ambitions, your private ambitions, the things you want. What are you willing to lay that down for? Because you must understand this, that leadership is designed in such a way that it will test if you really believe in leadership. Because all true leaders experience hell before they'll ever experience heaven. That I've never seen anybody become a multimillionaire without at least going bankrupt. I've never seen a person start a successful business that is even statistically out there, that people that usually have one successful business have failed typically 17 times. That falling forward is what we do as leaders. That life is not one of those things that doesn't just allow you to go to the top. Leadership is not one of those things where you just go to the top and you walk in and you demand leadership. No, you have to swim to the top and you have to swim against the current. That's leadership. Leadership is being able to swim to the top and swim against the current. That's what leadership is. Think about it like this: that trees are designed to go up, but why do we dig holes in the ground to put seeds in them? Because everything must go down first before it goes up. So don't ever get discouraged by the things that are happening and the things that get negative, because what you're doing is you're digging deep roots. And if you want to be a leader, the first thing that happens is things get covered up. You get covered by the mess. But guess what you do? You learn how to swim upstream. You learn how to swim against the current. And the ones that keep the stamina and the conviction that I got to do this, I got to make it, and that passion that keeps them to continue to produce, then guess what? They'll be what it is you're supposed to be. You want to know something? That when you go to the point of return, guess what? You return. That's when leadership is born. So I have more, but I'm going to stop right there because I feel like that is the meat of the matter. That, this leadership series is to help you understand that you have the capacity to be able to swim against the current and you're able to make it to the top. It is not just the ones that are just wonderful. You have the capacity within you to be what it is you are supposed to be. So I'm going to, in this moment, I'm going to stop recording the broadcast so that those that are able to go back, they're able to look at it. Thank you so much. I'm going to open up the line for a few questions. So if you have any questions, hit *6 on the call. And also, if you're watching us via Ustream on our website, you can actually type on the Ustream side, you can actually type in your question and I'll see it there as we did last week. Bless you guys that are going to be going now. We'll see you Sunday at Equation Church. Everyone bring one. Bless you guys. Hit *6 if you have any questions.